Welcome to Politics NY's newest video interview series, In the Community With, sponsored by AARP. Today we'll be in the community with Councilmember Selvena Brooks Powers. Councilmember Brooks Powers represents the Council District 31, which includes the Queens communities of Arvin, Brookville, Edgemere, Laurelton, Springfield Gardens, Rosedale, and Far Rockaway. Welcome, Councilmember Brooks Powers. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth, for the invitation.
Absolutely. So I would love to hear a little bit about, your accomplishment during the last year that you're most proud of.
Actually, I have a few accomplishments this year that I am extremely proud of. This year, we were able to secure historic number of dollars coming into our district in terms of capital and expense funding in a given fiscal cycle. We were able to fully fund a brand new state-of-the-art soccer field, bring a new comfort station to one of our local parks that was much needed. We were able to pass historic legislation, whether it be about connecting the city's greenways together or in support of the commuter van drivers who do so much to ensure that communities like Southeast Queens, which is a transportation desert, are able to get people to where they need to go. But I think most of all, it would probably be the trauma and healthcare access task force that we stood up more recently so that we could create a path to getting a trauma facility in the Far Rockaway community.
Fantastic, fantastic. We have a question from our sponsor from AARP. This is the city's Department of Aging, which supports a wide range of programs designed for older residents, receives approximately 0.05% of the budget, despite the fact that 20% of city residents are over the age of 65. What will you prioritize in the next New York City budget to ensure that more resources go to this population, and in what specific programs will you increase investment?
So for me, the seniors are one of the most important populations in the community, seniors and our youth. And if you look at how I allocate funding for the 31st Council District, you'll see that those are the two areas that probably get the most of my budget. For the past two fiscal cycles since being elected, I've given hundreds of thousands of dollars to our older community, whether it be towards Sukasa programming or just helping with the staffing support that they may need. And also this year, we were able to help support the opening of a brand new older adult center in Arvin. And so that was pretty exciting as well. It once again shows my commitment to a community that has given so much, worked so hard, and deserves to be able to enjoy a good quality of life. For me, as it pertains to the older adults, I look quite honestly across the spectrum. As one of my colleagues in the Councilmember Hudson always says, every issue is a senior issue. So that's whether or not we're talking about healthcare, if we're talking about transportation, whatever we're talking about, there is an element in there that focuses on the older adult population. And so during COVID, it was a very tough time when I got elected, and I knew some of our seniors felt shut in. Some of them were just learning technology. So in the first fiscal year, I prioritized funding programs that would help them. How do you use your smartphone? How do you get on a device to be able to get the resources that you need? And some of them actually are a little bit better than me now. But these are just some examples of the work that we've been doing with our more seasoned residents in the 31st district.
Wonderful. And you make a good point about how it really does permeate the older community permeates all different areas and issues that come up in a community. And another question that comes from our sponsor AARP is about that, and about how ageism also permeates all aspects of life, from ageism in the workplace and designing of our streets and public transportation systems to how services are promoted and accessed. So what is one ageism issue that has an impact on your community, and how would you address it?
Well, in 2023, you will be pleased to know that one of the first action items that I'll be doing is working to tackle excessive ride, or trying to, because we know excessive ride is a behemoth of an issue for our seniors and for our disabled community. And so as the chair for the City Council's Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, I will be convening a joint hearing with the Committee on Aging, where we're going to be looking at exploring how do we improve the excessive ride system. In COVID, we saw out of the box thinking when we had excessive ride partner with Uber. And we got actually some positive feedback about that partnership. Well, we want to look and see, what does that look like with the yellow taxi cabs, who have more than 50% of their fleet that's handicap accessible? How can we open this up and create a system where there's much more access, much more reliability, and giving dignity to our older adults that want to be independent, that want to get around to their doctor's appointment, to going out to lunch with their friends, to play bingo with their friends, and being able to do it knowing that they don't have to wait hours to be picked up or worry about not being picked up to get back home. We want to make sure the system works for them.
Fantastic. That sounds great. So I know you have so many goals on your plate for 2023, but what can you share one of your top goals for your community in the coming year?
So one of my top goals, we know that right now, New York City is facing a fiscal cliff. We have a very tough budget coming up. So for me, a top goal is making sure that I'm able to secure as much resources and funding for my district to be able to support the amazing community partners that we have, that what I call fill the gap in what government can't do. That's what discretionary funding is for. That's what capital dollars are for. It is to extend services in areas where government cannot reach. And so I want to make sure that I'm able to bring home resources so that we can have continuity and that we are able to have a stronger community that works for everyone.
Great goal for 2023. Now, I want to end on a rapid fire question, a quick question. I know it's hard to narrow it down, but I'd love for you to share with me a person or a team that you've worked with this past year who you'd like to give a special shout out to, someone who isn't usually recognized. I know it's tough. You work with a lot of tremendous people, but I'm going to ask.
Yes. So I don't want to get in trouble on this, but first and foremost,
I'm making her make a choice. It's my fault.
First and foremost, I have to thank my staff. As someone who's a former staffer for an elected official, I know how difficult that can be. And oftentimes they're unsung heroes, because when we get constituents, they're coming in because they need help. And a lot of times the emotions come with it. And so sometimes it is a thankless job, and they work around the clock. We spend more time with one another than we spend with our families at times. And I also want to say my interns. This year we had some amazing interns that were high school and college students. So we had Angelique Rodriguez, Vanessa, I don't want to mess up her name, it's an E is the last name, but it is Zuzo, I believe it is. Araya Scott Johnson, Benjamin Kornblum. We had Max, that's my super intern. Like, he still comes back on holidays to help us with our community events. So really my team, whether it be my permanent staff or our high school and college interns that come in and support and want to learn about the community and learn how they can be able to give back. And that's been an extreme blessing, because I'm one person and there's a lot of work that I'd like to accomplish in this role. And without them, that would not even be possible.
Wow. So that is a wonderful shout out. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me. I know there's a lot to be done before the end of the year and a lot planning as the new year becomes a reality, but I want to thank you for spending some time with us. And I wish you a very happy holiday and a happy and a healthy new year.
Thank you. And the same to you. It was such a pleasure. And I look forward to meeting you in person one day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Same here. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.